Is Triple H losing control? WWE falling under Triple H? Fans turning on Triple H. WWE's creative problem. Is this Triple H's end? Could the biggest threat to WWE right now be the very man who helped save it? And what if the growing frustration among fans isn't just random complaining online? What if it's a warning sign that something deeper is happening behind the scenes? For years, Triple H was viewed as the answer, the solution, the guy who would take WWE into a brighter future once the old guard finally stepped aside. Fans practically begged for him to take over creative. Every time a storyline went off the rails, every time a beloved wrestler disappeared from television, every time a premium live event left fans scratching their heads, the same phrase would appear everywhere: just wait until Triple H takes over. And then it happened. The keys to the kingdom were handed over. The man who built NXT into a fan favorite suddenly had more influence than ever before. For many wrestling fans, it felt like Christmas morning. Finally, the future had arrived. At first, the excitement was impossible to ignore. Returning stars were welcomed back. Storylines seemed more coherent. Wrestlers who had been forgotten started appearing on television again. Fans celebrated every little change as proof that WWE had entered a new golden age. And honestly, for a while, it felt like they might have been right. But wrestling fans are a funny bunch. We can spend years demanding change, and then the moment we get it, we start examining every little detail with a microscope powerful enough to detect life on Mars. That's just how wrestling works. One week you're a genius, the next week you're apparently the worst booker in history because somebody's favorite wrestler lost a match. Still, something interesting has happened over the last couple of years. The excitement hasn't completely disappeared, but the certainty has. The confidence that Triple H could do no wrong has slowly faded away. Now, before anybody rushes to the comments section ready to launch a steel chair directly at my head, let's make one thing clear. This isn't about saying Triple H is terrible. It's about asking a question that more and more fans seem willing to ask. Is WWE actually moving forward, or is it slowly becoming stuck? Because that's where the conversation gets interesting. Think back to the expectations people had. Triple H wasn't supposed to be good. He was supposed to be revolutionary. Fans expected shocking storytelling, unforgettable character development, and a product that constantly evolved. Instead, what many viewers see today is something very different. Long storylines that sometimes feel like they're moving in slow motion. Payoffs that don't always satisfy months of build-up. Talented wrestlers waiting endlessly for opportunities that never seem to arrive. And perhaps most importantly, a growing feeling that certain stars are protected no matter what happens. Sound familiar? Because that's one of the criticisms fans used to make about previous creative regimes. The irony isn't lost on anyone. One of the biggest complaints currently directed toward Triple H involves predictability. Now, don't get me wrong. Predictability isn't always bad. Sometimes the obvious choice is the right choice. The hero should win. The villain should lose. The crowd should go home happy. Simple. But wrestling thrives on surprises. It survives on unpredictability. The magic happens when fans genuinely don't know what's coming next. And lately, many viewers feel like they can predict entire shows before the opening pyro even goes off. That's not exactly ideal. Imagine buying tickets to a magic show where you already know every trick. Sure, the magician might still be talented, but some of the wonder disappears. And wonder is everything in professional wrestling. Then there's the issue of roster management. This is where conversations become even more heated because WWE has one of the most talented rosters in company history. Seriously, look at the names available today. The depth is ridiculous. You could probably create 3 separate world title scenes and still have enough talent left over to headline another promotion. Yet somehow, fans constantly debate whether many of those stars are being used properly. Some wrestlers catch fire with audiences only to lose momentum. Others disappear for weeks. Some receive endless television time while others struggle to get meaningful opportunities. And every time it happens, the criticism grows louder. People start asking difficult questions. Why is this wrestler being pushed? Why isn't that wrestler being featured? Why does it feel like certain stories keep repeating themselves? These questions aren't coming from people who hate WWE. In many cases, they're coming from the most passionate fans imaginable. The people who watch every week. The people who buy merchandise. The people who spend hours discussing wrestling online instead of doing something productive. Hey, we've all been there. When your most dedicated supporters begin raising concerns, it's usually worth paying attention. Now let's talk about another uncomfortable topic: expectation versus reality. This might actually be the biggest factor in the entire discussion. You see, Triple H may have become a victim of his own reputation. Fans built him up to almost mythical levels. He wasn't viewed as a normal booker. He was viewed as a creative genius capable of fixing everything. And that's an impossible standard for anybody. Nobody can live up to perfection. Nobody. Not in wrestling. Not in sports. Not in entertainment. Not anywhere. The moment fans started believing Triple H had all the answers, disappointment became inevitable because eventually reality always catches up. Every creative leader makes mistakes. Every single one. The difference is that Triple H wasn't supposed to make mistakes, at least according to some fans. So when mistakes happen, they feel larger, more significant, and more damaging. That's where the backlash begins. But here's where things get really fascinating because, despite all the criticism, WWE remains incredibly successful. Think about that for a second. Attendance remains strong. Major events generate enormous attention. Business metrics continue to impress. The company keeps securing major partnerships. The machine keeps moving forward. So if business is healthy, why are so many fans questioning creative direction? That's the mystery. And maybe the answer is simpler than people realize. Success and satisfaction aren't always the same thing. A company can be financially successful while still frustrating portions of its audience. Both things can exist simultaneously. It's not an either-or situation. And that's exactly what makes this debate so complicated. One side points to business success. The other points to creative frustrations. Both sides believe they're right. And honestly, both sides probably have valid arguments. Now here's the part nobody likes discussing. Who exactly would replace Triple H? Seriously, think about it. It's easy to say someone should step down. It's much harder to identify who should take over. Every leadership change comes with risks. Every new creative direction creates uncertainty. The grass always looks greener.